You got an intro theme.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, 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 hello. I am Ryan Roxie, and you are in the trenches. Another live stream episode of In the Trenches podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for being in the trenches with me. If you're on live right now in the YouTube chat room or the Facebook live chat room, just hit that subscribe button somewhere on your screen so you can, be part of it every single week. But you know what? Doesn't matter. All the other weeks don't matter. It's this week I'm excited about. This week, I'm telling you, it's been all throughout the week. There's been this air of excitement. All right. I'll tell you why. Because our guest today, other than the boss, he's the only other band member of the Alice Cooper band that has not been in the trenches. But he's here with us today, and we are going to dive deep into the trenches. So would you please welcome Mr. Glen Sobel. Hello.
Oh, my God. What's up? It's early.
Congratulations, folks, for actually getting Glen Sobel to wake up, because he's in Los Angeles right now. I'm in Sweden. We try to do the podcast live stream at a decent hour so both Europe and the US and Australia can stay up and watch it. And Glen usually is not an early morning riser, are you?
No. And welcome to my kitchen. Welcome. No, usually, people got to be all cool and have guitars and drums in the background. Like, yeah, I'm a musician. I'm in a studio. Look. No, come on. It's my coffee maker.
I'm admiring your cabinetry. Is that oak or is it birch? What kind of?
I have no idea.
It's definitely not. I'll tell you right now. That's definitely not IKEA. That is some old school, like real cabinets when cabinets were cabinets.
No, I'm all about it. Whatever it is, I'm all about it. I should know wood because drummers know oak and birch and maple, but I'll get back to you on that. But you know what? I'm on In the Trenches, but like, why? What makes your live stream different or better than the others? I've done so many of these lately. Basically, now that I'm on your show, sell me on why I should be on your show. Okay,
there's a couple reasons.
Why?
For one, we have the best chat. The best live stream chat of all the podcasts. Okay. So it's right in there. You can just tell by the comments, some of the comments that Vic, our producer, will put up. You'll know right away that you have the true fans that are coming to listen to your stories. There you go.
I see. Yeah, that's awesome.
So they're dedicated. Hey, that's just one of many reasons. The other one is that we have probably the best podcast producer for no budget. Like I'm saying, we have literally no budget, but Vic Chalfant makes it work out of whatever little budget that we do have and that we do get. So he makes it look all nice like this. So that's two. And the third reason is this microphone. Doesn't every real podcast, Joe Rogan,
that's all you need. You look really pro now, man. Hey, Vic is not getting paid, but I'm getting paid for this.
No, we're all getting paid for this. We are all getting paid for this. Trust me. That's going to be a surprise after the podcast. We'll see how much we actually get paid, but we're getting paid something.
Your microphone and your headphones look really, really pro. I'm impressed.
And how about the hat? How about the hat I'm wearing? Glen, I played a gig this weekend in Sweden. I was probably the only person definitely in the Alice Cooper band, but probably the only musician that played a live show that was born and raised in California like you are. And I played this place called the Garage Bar, and it was a cool gig.
We never did a Goon Squad show there. I'm taking it.
No,
it doesn't sound familiar.
This was literally in one of the most remote parts of Sweden where like social distancing, there's always been social distancing.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't anything new at all. So welcome California man to California kid. I'm a California man born and raised in Northern California, and Glen Sobel is born and raised in Southern California, correct?
LA, baby. Yeah, this is it. It's beautiful here.
You're the ones that give LA the good name, because it's always the people that come from out of town. But honestly, the nicest people that I've met from Los Angeles have always been born and raised in Los Angeles. And so that's how we start off the podcast, is like, let's go back to get forward.
LA people are cool. The people from here are down to earth because we've seen it all our whole lives. We didn't move here and change our personality. We didn't like become someone else and phony to fit in with what we thought LA was supposed to be. We're just here. That's it.
So you were basically Boogie Nights without having to try to be, or was
you gonna bring up my favorite movie of all time? Really?
Well, I see. That's the reason why I knew it was your
I
favorite
live
movie.
down the street from so many places where that was filmed. Seriously.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Wasn't that also by what was the club in Reseda?
It's a country club. Yeah.
Wasn't there was a couple scenes around there as
well. There was
a
ton of scenes. That's Hot Tracks, the disco club. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah. So growing up in Los Angeles, did you find the music scene? Because I always think that you're basically my little brother in the sense of rock generations. Nikki Sixx would be my older brother because he came from the era of Motley and Rat.
Yep.
Then I sort of slid in with the GNRs and the LA Guns and the Faster Pussycats of the world. And then you came a little bit just right behind with bands like Beautiful Creatures, POL.
Well, definitely before that. I played my first Sunset Strip show when I was 17 at Gazzari's in '88. So, by the time me and my friends turned 21, and I've told this story to so many people, it was this weird thing because we were like about to turn 21 around 92. And it was like, yeah, we're going to be 21. We can finally get into all the clubs. It's over.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't that the same year or right after grunge completely took over the world?
Yeah, well, 92 hair metal was hanging in there. I remember seeing some amphitheater shows with Poison and Firehouse and Damn Yankees. But,
you can still see those shows, by the way.
You can. It's crazy. It's like nothing's changed. But, by late 92, 93, just over. Page turned, done. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I watched it change, man, like overnight. Like all of a sudden, all these bands were wearing flannel and growing goatees and staring at their shoes when, like, the day before, they were all glammed out and singing about chicks and stuff.
Yeah. I heard it change the first time I heard Nevermind. Pretty much, I was like, "Holy crap! This is like
big."
Yeah, because it was undeniable. But at the same time, I remember hearing Guns N' Roses first out for the first time that the album Appetite just came out. Before it was actually released, there was some copies floating around, and I remember seeing that singing, that's going to be big. But
not at first. My friends in high school, they said,
it took a while.
Have you heard that Guns N' Roses? Is that singer for real? Oh my God, who's he kidding with that voice? And a year later, it was just the biggest thing.
Yeah, remember when it first came out, people all thought it was going to be some sort of Janis Joplin tribute. And I was like, no, dude, this dude's for real. I've seen him at the Roxy, dude.
People were comparing him to like a heavy metal, what's her name? Not now blanking on her name. Ethel Merman.
Ethel Merman, Janis Joplin, I'm sure Alice hung out with all of them back in the day as well.
Got stories. He's got stories.
Oh, dude, we have a whole section of the podcast, and that's another reason. I mean, you want me to tell you why so many reasons why we're better than the average podcast? Well, we actually have segments, and and of course we're talking. Let's go back to Get Forward right now, but we were here with Alice Cooper, Hollywood Vampire drummer, plus many more, Glen Sobel. But we're gonna not talk about those bands just yet. We're gonna continue going back to Get Forward because we have a connection. The connection that you have with Alice Cooper basically was started back in those early days. And we played the clubs in different bands back in those days, but we were both in trio bands. I was in a band called Dad's Porno Mag. You were in a band called POL, which stood for?
It was Parade of Losers, not a trio.
It wasn't. It was 4-piece.
No, it was, 4. Yeah, I had to think about that. Definitely not a trio. Quartet.
I thought it was a trio because I just figured POL, DPM. But okay, but you did have a special band member in that band, and who was that?
Yeah, it was Tommy Hendrickson singing lead and playing bass. Aha.
That's when, because not a lot of people know that Tommy Hendrickson you don't say he was a bass player. He always will be a bass player. He's a bass player. He played bass in POL, and then he actually only really started playing guitar when he joined Alice, right?
That guy has reinvented himself so many times. It's like he's had all these lifetimes. Yeah, he's got Miles Davis beat on reinventing himself. So yeah,
think of how many haircuts he's had since he's joined the Alice Cooper band.
Yeah, I know. I've had the same one, and he's got one, or he's got like 10. I got one, but yeah, he was always doing many things. He's had several record deals. I joined POL, and you and we played the Roxy together a couple times at separate bands. People don't
remember.
Yeah.
I think Steve Stevens saw one of the shows that we did together as well, and I think we all dressed in pajamas or something like that show. But moving on from Parade of Losers, I mean, I'm being quick because
like it was like a New York-ish Green Day. Think of it like that.
It was a New York Green. Well, you can't be anything but with Tommy Hendrickson, in front of a microphone than New York. It's going to be something New York. It could be Peter Gabriel, New York. It could be punk rock, New York. It could be, Iggy Pop, New York. But that was Parade of Losers. But then I'm talking about the band that, like I said, there's so much stuff to pack in a small amount of time, but I do want to get some of this history and Beautiful Creatures. And you were in that band from 1999 to 2002, right?
No, I was close. I was in it from late 2000 till 03, and then I came back and did some other shows. But I was on it when we were on Warner Brothers Records and had the big ass record deal. We were the next big thing for 60 seconds and learned a lot, went through the machine. But yeah, great time. Proud of that.
A lot of people had said that you guys were that new Guns N' Roses. We were just talking about Appetite, and the first time they were saying that you were that band, along with bands like Buck Cherry. You were that new wave. Well,
it's like grunge came out. We were just talking about that, how Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Soundgarden just erased the slate. And that was around 92, 93. So I think Warner Brothers around 01, they're like, by 2001, it's okay. We need to bring some real, just rock, unapologetic, full-on rock. We got to bring it back. And we were that record, but didn't quite work out like people hoped, although the record has a good cult following to this day. People still
as you can see, people are in the chat room right now talking about it and saying how much they do love the Beautiful Creatures.
I'm proud of that record. Definitely proud of it. Yeah, it sounds good. Like some records you listen to years later, you're like, yeah, this sounds dated, I don't like it. Others you listen to, you're like, yeah, this still sounds fresh to me, and that's one of them.
There it is. So there you get lots of love from the chat room about Lenny. Lenny is giving you love from there as well. I love it.
Nice.
Did DJ Ashba was your guitar player in that lineup, or was he not?
Yeah. He's the one that got me in the band. Him and I used to play in an instrumental trio back in 95, 96. I was doing that gig the same time I was doing POL. And I think one night I played in both at the Coconut Teaser. I did both in one night, I remember. But yeah.
What was that band called?
That was just Ashba. That was his own instrumental, like melodic commercial instrumental stuff. And the bass player, Bruce Robinson, told Tommy Hendrickson to call me for POL. So the DJ Ashba trio is like the center of my career universe in some ways. Yeah, nice. For real. And Tommy said, oh yeah, I know that guy. I knew Tommy a little bit. And he went, oh yeah, I know Sobel. And he called me and it worked.
Okay, honest question, and that's another reason why we're above the other podcasts, because we ask straightforward, honest questions.
That's why we're here.
If you had to put a gold medal, silver medal, and bronze medal for ego, would it be DJ Ashba, Ryan Roxie, or Tommy Hendrickson?
Oh, you always get the gold in my book, baby.
Thank you.
Well, wait, what is gold? The worst ego or the least ego? Which way does it go?
It's all perspective. It's all the way you look on it. I think we have our answer, folks.
Well, you're all medalists in my book, but yeah, I mean, look, show me a guy without ego. I'll show you someone that doesn't belong on stage.
See, there's our soundbite. That's our soundbite right now, coming from the kitchen of Glen Sobel right now.
That's your teaser clip. You're going to sell it on that?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are interested in that, and because this show is not just about talking about the past and all the party chicks, blah blah blah, which is fun, but it's also talking about a lot of people want to make it in this business still to this day. They still have that dream, and they rely on our guests' experience, which you have a lot of, and the things that you've done to basically be in the trenches all these years and survive.
Now I get the name of your show. I didn't get it before. Now I understand why it's called what it's called.
It couldn't be more of a perfect title for 2020 because we're all friggin' in the trenches right now, right?
Hanging
How you
on
holding
by
up,
a
man?
thread. No, I'm good. I'm good. You know, every day I try to do 3 things. I don't always succeed, but I try to go for a walk 3 to 5 miles. I work out in my living room and I play drums. I try to do all these things. I teach a little bit of Skype lessons. I'm not going nuts trying to advertise that. There's a session here or there, but there hasn't been any gigs, of course. There's not going to be that for a while. Not here.
Do you want more because honestly we could put it out there right now. Do you want more Skype gigs, or you're trying to keep it under the radar, but if they would they go to glensobel.com or just DM you on Instagram if they wanted?
If people hit me up, I'm down. I just haven't like been putting it out there in a big way. I haven't felt like pushing and selling anything. It's okay if people do it. I'm not saying you should be doing anything. Do what you're going to do.
Not like the way I'm pimping my Cameo, right?
Are you doing that?
Cameo. It's what people do.
Are you doing Cameo?
Dude, this literally within about maybe I put that on the band chat. I said literally within 12, and everyone probably thought it was a joke. Maybe you thought it was a joke, but I said within 12 hours of Alice signing up for Cameo, I said
Coop is doing it. Yeah.
I said, there's my green light, because you know what? There's going to be a lot of people typing in thinking, oh wow, Alice Cooper, I can't afford him, but wait, Ryan Roxie's here. Ride the
poor man,
Alex.
Right. I'll be poor man's Alice if they want you, but you're too much, and then I'll be the next level, the next tier down.
I got that. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what are you charging?
Or maybe you're lukewarm water. I don't know, because you know what, drummers. Let's be really honest, because I primarily have had mostly guitarists on In the Trenches. That's where it started out with, because there was a lot of, you know.
Oh, you had Marty Schwartz on, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Marty
cool.
was great. He was on last. He spoke very highly of you, and we've had many guitarists and frontmen on, but you are our first drummer, I believe.
What? Really?
Yes, I do believe, and it might start a trend, because drummers, like, tell the chat, tell the crowd, tell who's ever listening right now, and if you are listening, by the way, on Apple, or if you're listening on Spotify right now, pull your car over, do whatever you're doing, get onto YouTube Live and check our faces out, because it's much nicer to do it that way. But we appreciate you listening. We are here with Glen Sobel, drummer for Alice Cooper and Hollywood Vampires. All that's coming later. But, you know, tell us what I was just going to talk about before I went off track.
Which was what? Exactly.
Vic, can you remind me? Vic's laughing in the background. Can you please remind me what I was talking about? He won't. Bastard.
This is a long quarantine, man. I don't know.
It is a long quarantine.
It's messing with my head lately too. You were talking about something with, well, not egos. We got through that. Drummers are something special.
Yes. Thank you very much, Funky Al Medina. See,
I like that screen name, Funky Al Medina.
There you go. Well, I named her that. I have a way of naming people, but honestly,
good job.
Well, I've named a few people. I don't think, though, that I didn't come up with your nickname. You came up with the Sobelizer all by yourself.
I didn't come up with that. That's Michael Miller.
Michael Miller. Okay, so Glen Sobel's drum tech, Mike Miller, has called you, instead of your nickname being the best drummer of rock and roll, that's Alice's nickname for you, isn't it? Voted number one.
He says that on stage every night. It's like, I just know there's people out there going, no, what about Neil Peart? What about Buddy Rich? What about this guy and this guy? What are you going to do?
Hey, dude, it's not your words. Those are Alice's words. That's all you have to say. That's not me talking. That's Alice. But he is the Sobelizer. And what I was going to talk about drummers is that you guys are a special group of musicians, no doubt about it. You guys hang more than other musicians do.
True.
A lot of guitar players have this, the perception is there's a lot of ego going on with guitar players, but when you really break it down, as I found out through doing the show, it's really not. But tell us what is so special about the drummers and their relationship.
Yeah, you see us doing our drummer lunches where literally 50 guys show up at like the Stonefire Grill here in Woodland Hills. Yeah, we have that mentality. We like sharing ideas and talking about gigs. We're weird. Drummers are hard to understand. We're hard to understand for other musicians. We're hard to understand for, like, when we have girlfriends. they either get it or they don't. Like, oh yeah, you guys really like to talk shop. Like, I'm out of here. But yeah, we're journeymen more often than other musicians. Like, we'll go from gig to gig. We tend to maybe do a lot of styles more often. We're like chameleons versus stylists more often, I think, but not always. I'm generalizing, but there's always
no,
exceptions.
but it is true. You guys do have this way of communication, and so be honest with me. When a drummer gets a really good gig that perhaps maybe you might have been up for, are you genuinely happy for that drummer? And I think the answer is yes.
Why wouldn't I be? Yeah.
Well, because guitar players wouldn't be.
No, there's always going to be professional rivalries and jealousies and whatever. But no, I've had some students get some good big gigs. Like, oh my God, one of my former students from way back, Tony Fagenson, he became the drummer in Eve 6. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah, that band Eve 6, of course.
Yeah, they had Inside Out. It was all over MTV, and yeah, that was great, especially because I heard them on the radio on K-Rock out here, and I didn't know who it was yet. I just knew Tony was in some band named Eve 6, and I heard the drummer, and I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. He's doing some hi-hat stuff. Sounds like something I do. And then the DJ said who it was. I was like, oh my God, this is Tony.
Guy. I taught him how to play drums.
Well, I taught him a lot when he was 16, but yeah, that's a good feeling. I was happy that he was on the radio, you know?
I have a similar story with Frank from Slash's solo band, because I taught him a lesson. I wasn't his regular teacher, but I did teach him a couple lessons when he was real young, and then he went on to go join Slash's band and then play songs that I co-wrote with Slash. So that was kind of a cool. So
I didn't know that.
Really was happy about that. And another sort of former student was Phil Demmel from Machine Head.
Oh, guitar. No kidding! I remember you talking about him. I didn't know about Frank though. That's awesome. That's great.
Phil Demmel, basically, he got to sub in for, what was the band that had the Los Angeles based metal band that had the huge last tour, one of the big four, but he couldn't do a couple gigs. It wasn't.
One of the big four, or like past the big four? No,
one of the big.
Well, that was four. Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer.
That's Slayer. He got to sub in for Slayer, which brings me to a very huge pinnacle part of your probably, just a very nice highlight of your drumming career. My buddy Phil got to play with Slayer, which he looked up to a lot. You got to play with Motley Crue.
Yeah.
You toured in 2015 or 14 or
15.
Whenever.
Yeah, you were there. That's crazy. That's 5 years ago now.
So there's a picture that Vic just put up of, was that you like sort of passing the torch? He's passing the torch on to you. And what's he saying right there? What? Dude, besides dude.
Yeah, right. No, that was at the very end of playing Home Sweet Home, which was it was like that hydraulic riser that rises 25 feet in the air while the band does the encore. Tommy would come out and play piano on that. And he was just like, yeah, dog, give me one of those. And somebody caught a really nice photo of it. That was cool.
That's an amazing photo, actually. Yeah. And the thing is,
he was nothing but cool. He was so cool. And he would hold my arm up like this at the end, like champion, he was so gracious.
But this is what I want people to know, the whole story, because a lot of people know, okay, Glenn subbed in for Motley Crue during the time that Alice Cooper was opening up for Motley Crue or doing a headline tour or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. It was a very cool time in our lives and the band's life. It actually helped us out a lot. But then, there's a great picture of all of us hanging out there. Oh my God, have we really aged that much in a short time?
That's 5-6 years ago, yeah.
Oh man, there's one of the 100,001 haircuts of Tommy Hendrickson. I love that. And then, imagine that. There's the Beasto talking to Nikki Sixx. Those bass players always talk. And look at me self-promoting with an R77 shirt on. Yep, this is typical.
This is so us, yeah.
But so what ends up happening is a lot of people know that you did the gigs, but I want them to know how quickly it went down, because Tommy was in like some sort of bizarre gardening accident or what the hell happened?
We'll never really know. Okay, but their production manager Robert Long, I had met him way back when I was at Beautiful Creatures. He was a guitar tech with Marilyn Manson, and we were doing some shows with Manson back in 2001, and he was this like legendary tech, right? And so I wasn't a bit surprised when years later he's the production manager for Motley Crue and Kiss at the same time, right?
Yeah, he's on top of shit, right?
Oh, yeah. The most on top of shit guy I've ever seen as far as Crue people. So, he called me in my hotel room. We were in Buffalo, New York. Called me like noon. I was just getting out of the shower, and he said, there's something going on tonight. I need to know if you can fill in for Tommy. There's been a problem. And I totally thought it was a joke. I thought like I'd say, oh, yeah, man, I'm into it. And then I'd hear a bunch of people in the background go, ha, got you. I really, truly thought that. And I told him, I'm like, all right, who's fucking with me? Come on. And he said, no, dude, I'm serious. Tommy's got a flare-up of tendonitis in his right wrist. He can't play the show tonight. Can you do this?
And this happened the same. He called you in the afternoon
of the show. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And maybe Nikki Sixx remembered and had the confidence because he remembers me coming in to play 6 a.m.'s for a show in 2007, which was a very last-minute thing. I got called on a Friday for rehearsals that began Monday because Will Hunt from Evanescence was going to do it. But I think he got the Evanescence gig back then. So then DJ Ashba, who was in 6 a.m., said, well, you got to call Glenn. He'll come in and he'll know the stuff. He'll have it. Just send him the music.
DJ Ashba's been feeding you, man.
Yeah.
He's been feeding you all right. That's great, man.
Yeah, he's another
no
guy.
No wonder he's a silver medalist, and I'm not the gold. I've never given you a gig. Well, I got you to get Goon Squad. I got you Glen Sobel in the Goon Squad.
It's true. No, I owe all you guys. My ledger is heavy with black. But
there it is, the Goon Squad. We speak. So go on with that Motley story because it's the afternoon.
Yeah, and he called me and I said, okay, send someone to pick me up, send a runner, have Adam, that was their sound guy. I said, have Adam make a thumb drive of a show. I knew he was recording shows. I said, I got to sit in a production office with my laptop and I got to make charts of the show. And people might think, oh, well, it's Motley Crue. You know that. You grew up on it. It's like you can't rely on that. You just can't. And the whole band, there's a chart.
So you're a chart guy, and this is part of
what is that song?
That
is okay. That's from a Lucky Strike gig in L.A. That's a Beastie Boys tune. So what you want? It's a lot of writing the numbers of bars in sections. It's not transcribing every note. There's like a kick snare pattern for anyone that knows notation. And you just have certain key little transitions. It looks like probably Chinese to some people. Right. But I delineate the choruses, that CHO for chorus. I basically did that for the next several hours in a production office.
How many songs?
Well, how many they have in the set back then?
I don't know, man. It was
20, 21? I don't know.
It seemed a lot. It seemed like a lot.
Yeah, and it was like an hour and 45-minute set without the roller coaster. Something like that. And so, and you can't rely on the vocals. Come on, Vince is not singing a lot. He'll do the thing with the microphone like you sing, right?
Right. So there's the vocal cues are not happening. But you can't
rely on it.
You had to have some sort of cues coming in your ear a little bit with that, or did you not?
The whole band gets the click, which is the metronome.
Right.
And the whole band gets the count-offs. And Tommy was able to talk to me in my in-ear monitors, but I didn't want to rely on that. I mean, Tommy Lee's idea of a cue was like, stop. Like, stop right on the stop. That's not
on the beat. No.
So,
oh my God.
No, but he realized after a while that I had it, and he was really cool. And in my ears after a while, he went, oh man, you're killing it, dog. And
maybe sometimes that's all you need is another drummer's sort of, confidence and his encouragement.
Well, it was stressful, but there wasn't time to freak out about it. And a big thing that helped was I had done a very similar thing in 2010 with Vasco Rossi, Italy's biggest rock star.
We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Yeah.
Subbing for our good friend and amazing drummer, Matt Logg, who had an injury. But so the whole band gets the click track, and there's some slates in the click, meaning the guy Viggy that makes the tracks. He would add vocal cues to end Wild Side because it's
chorus
a long outro. But they didn't tell me any of this. They weren't like telling me and prepping me. I didn't see Tommy Lee until I was walking to the stage.
Right.
And
Right.
I just had to guess a lot of things. Like, I'll bet the count off for Anarchy in the UK is a 1-bar quick count off because Nicky finishes that 10-minute speech of how the band met, and then they just start it, no count off.
Wow.
And I guessed correctly.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling me this stuff.
No, honestly, I think you play you're at your top of your game almost when it's like on the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you at many throw and go gigs that we've had with Goon Squad. And so hold on, Nick. Glenn told me that the Motley Crue show was physically easier than the Alice show. Well, of course, we're going to talk about the breaks in a little bit. Of course, Nick, that's true. But as far as getting back to Glenn's drumming, I feel that when you're put under pressure like that, you play at the top of your game. Is that something that a lot of drummers can do, or is that something that you've been able to sort of build up over the years?
Of course it builds up. There's a skill set and an art form of that. And when you're subbing any gig like that, especially last minute, the best compliment you can get is that they forget you're there. Like, you don't want to say, like, oh, well, he played it that way, I'm going to do it this way. No, you want to copy and do your best impersonation. Nobody plays like Tommy Lee exactly, but if you're familiar with the band and is playing, you do an impression. And yeah, growing up with the band helped, and it helped being on tour with them on and off for a good while. But
did you have
it's
to
focus?
Much focus. But let me ask you this, because if someone just handed me Mick Mars' guitar and said, yo, go play out some Motley Crue songs, and even though if I knew them, it would be foreign to me to play on Mick's guitar. Did you have to play Nicky's or Tommy's drums? Or
No.
No,
it was my kit. Between sets, Mike Miller and Tommy's tech, Nick, scaled down my kit to a smaller version.
Oh, so it was still your kit, but it had a different configuration than what you would play with Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
So, but see, to me, that's still different. That's like from going from, okay, I'll play with like 3 cabinets to like, okay, now you're going to play with just in-ears. And
Motley Crue, it's not as busy of a gig as Alice. It's a heavy groove, lots of 4 on the floor. How many Alice songs are we doing that are 4 on the floor? I can't think of any.
Be My Lover. You always start 4 on the floor.
Yeah, it's just the kick though. But yeah, that's the closest thing. Good one, yeah. So, but a typical Motley Crue tune is like Primal Scream. It's heavy groove stuff, or Dr. Feelgood or Girls, Girls, Girls. That's typical. Right. It's less busy, so it's no big deal that I had less drums. I thought it was better for that.
So, I think that gig in that short amount of time, you obviously say, we always say Glen Sobel saved rock and roll. You definitely saved the tour for that moment in time, because it really is scary when one major member like that can go down, and then all of a sudden, who's there to pick up the slack? I mean, we're lucky in the sense that with Alice, with the guitar players, if someone was, we've done gigs with two guitar players, and I've even done a gig with 1 guitar player in
Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis. That's right. But the thing is, when you have a focal member like Tommy Lee that goes down, you did carry the tour for those days that ended up happening. So that obviously helped you with the whole career.
Yeah, I felt people's pain. Back then that was their farewell tour. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So this was people's last chance to see the band, and man, that first night they didn't tell anybody. Remember, they didn't announce that, hey, our drummer is hurt. And so the first song is Girls, 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 and it's that first night in Buffalo. And Tommy Lee was always backlit. There was never a spotlight on
that
him.
Tour. He chose to be backlit.
Yeah, he was like this ominous, shadowy figure. So I could just feel it in the crowd on Girls, Girls, Girls. We just start, and people in the crowd going like, "Wait a minute, is that Tommy? No, that's not Tommy." And then there was 3 songs. It was always Girls, 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 Wild Side, Primal Scream, and then Vince Neil said every night, "Well, I think you see something's different up here tonight. We don't have Tommy." Boo! Every night.
Thanks for the intro.
Right.
Thanks for the intro.
He would always say, let's bring out the man to tell you what's going on. Let's bring out the man himself. And Tommy would come out, and it's the same thing. Do you all know what tendonitis is? Well, it's fucked up. And he'd say that every night, but he would always give me props. And he'd say, but my man, Glenn, is on the drums, beating the fuck out of the drums. So we're cool. Never fear, the crew's here, bitches. And he'd leave. And it was like, I won him over every night, I guess.
Well, in a way, you know what? Let's call it for what it is. In a way, it's more historical for anyone that went to go see Motley Crue and saw any of those 4 shows during that farewell tour. Yeah. It's even more special. But who knows how many more incidents will happen before now and the next time they go on the tour, because I mean, they've already delayed this next delayed tour to next year, but we're all, like I said, we're in the same boat, and that's why we're sitting here talking right now. That's why we're in the trenches. We're here with Glen Sobel from the Alice Cooper Band, and of course, now I am moving on a little bit to what we are currently doing, what we are currently sort of promoting. I know that you're on the podcast tour, because you said you've been doing a lot of these lately, but this week we actually have something to promote, right? Both me and you playing in the Alice Cooper Band, we have something we can talk about.
Can we talk about what's out there?
It's out there on the websites. It's coming out.
What are we talking about exactly?
We're talking about Wacken Live.
We can talk about that?
Yes, because Wacken Live right now is on the websites. It's everywhere. Alice is actually he's on a schedule. I saw it this morning.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know they put it up.
I know. We're the last people to know, folks, about shows.
It's true.
I usually find out from Federock, or I find out from Connect.
Yeah, we find out from our friends and fans. Yeah.
We find out from the people that support us where we're playing and when we're playing and what gigs got canceled. Well, this one is not canceled, folks. This is something that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a live stream for anybody you guys know the Wacken Festival. Glenn and I have played it a couple times. Both times I think we've filmed it, right? I think. Well,
yeah, that's the DVD from 2013.
Yeah, it was actually. Didn't they do it again? Oh, I've seen footage with it with Nita. So we did it with
in 2016.
With Orianthe and with Nita. So we've done this Wacken Festival is about 80,000 people. Biggest crowd I've ever played in front of. I mean, you might have done some bigger shows with Vampires.
No, that's probably about the biggest. Yeah. That or the huge Australia thing we did back in February.
Oh, just recently. That was 77,000 though. I kept,
almost.
I kept tabs on that. So Wacken it just was like a sea of people. And so right now, because of this whole C word crap that we're going through, they are putting together an online festival, and Alice is slated to go on Thursday. First, she has an interview. If you can go on
that soon.
Yes,
I didn't realize it was coming right up. Okay. Nobody tells me these things. I thought it's like a month from now or something.
No, it's literally Thursday, folks, that we are going to be, and that's why it's good for us to promote it, because we were able to play a couple. Yeah, we're going to play a couple songs, and again, thanks to your guys' support that are all hanging out in the chat, always supporting us as the Alice Cooper Band. We get to sort of play for you a little bit in 2020. I mean, we did do. I mean, you want to talk about that? We did play in 2020. We were lucky enough to actually have some gigs in early 2020, right?
Australia, man, that was the last great tour run we were talking about earlier, and it was perfect. What was wrong with that? Nothing.
No. What was the bill? It was MC50, which is basically MC5 with Wayne Kramer.
The 50th anniversary of MC5. Yeah, Alice's old Detroit buddy Wayne Kramer from 50 years back.
It is. Did you take any picture? I'm leading my producer like so completely. Like, did you take any picters with Wayne? And he's like scrambling. I can see him.
There's that one
just
picture.
Put the picture up, Vic. Come on, buddy. Now all of a sudden I'm acting like a Dika. Just put the picture up. Come on. No, but I mean
one picture where Wayne looks all gangster in his hoodie.
That's cool. And there it is. How about that?
Yeah. Well, what a cool guy. The guy's got stories for days, just like Coop does.
And I see Alice in the back. I'm sure he's telling a story that probably he's embellishing a story.
You can tell by the hand
movements. Tell. He's telling a story, but he's definitely embellishing a little bit.
He's doing this. He's never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's actually one of the segments in the show, but we don't have to do that now because we just addressed it. I love it. But we also had in that band with MC50, a couple of our heroes that played in grunge bands in Soundgarden. We had Kim Thayil, was playing guitar in that band. It was a really great tour. I mean, it was really, really perfect.
And it's Billy Gould from Faith No More was on bass, and Brendan Canty from Fugazi was on drums, and they were all just cool. And Kim Thale was great. We were talking about old school jazz fusion and shit. You know, he was good dude. I mean, you don't know when you meet people how they're going to be. Yeah, he was cool.
He was great. He was such a great guy. And the thing is, I mean, also the band Airborne.
Yep.
You know, Vic, can you put that picture up of Airborne?
He's going, what picture? Ah! Yeah.
I'm just joking with you, Vic. So anyway, folks, you guys, honestly, you got some good pictures of the guy. I didn't get that many pictures with the guys. I should have just thought about it before. And it's like, I think maybe the last night I might have crowded in, because how do you feel about that? Like, because you've played now, you've been surrounded by a lot of big names. It's not just Alice Cooper, but you've also played with Holly Vampires, which is a whole nother circle of famous people and stuff. Are you pretty hesitant when you come about getting pictures, or does it matter to you?
Yeah, no, I am. See, the thing like that with like Kim and Wayne, it was like the last night of the tour. Oh yeah, somebody took that of Johnny and I from, I think, Christmas Pudding. But no, when it comes to that, it's like, oh, hey man, it was so great hanging with you, and hey, we should do a quick picture, that kind of thing. You don't do it when you first meet people. You just, when you're friendly and friends, it's all good.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, that was Phil Chen, Robbie Krieger, and Orion.
Robbie Krieger from The Doors. Yeah, I see that.
That was a session that was a blast. That's at Robbie Krieger's studio, and it was an Ori tune that she was recording for a movie.
That's right.
Oh, it was a blast of a session.
Oh, there's your girlfriend. There's your girl. She loves you. Folks, that's Wonder Woman. That's Linda Carter.
Yeah.
And she actually does really have a secret crush on Glenn, I believe. You know,
she's very sweet, and her whole family is just great.
Yeah. Everybody in America has a secret crush on Linda Carter, but Linda Carter has a secret crush on Glenn. So there you go. How about that?
Well, she likes when I play drums with her, but no, she's great. She's just the sweetest thing, and she has a cool selection of songs, you know, when she plays in Maui with us.
I was going to say, you've also not maybe a few people that haven't gone down the Glen Sobel rabbit hole know that you actually have played in Orianthi's band as well. So and not just with Alice Cooper, but you played in her solo band as well.
Yeah, I did some solo dates. Chuck and I did a Japan run with her back in 2013. And then I've done some other, U.S. dates. And I did a Brazil run with her and Richie Sambora in 2016. That's a whole different thing, because there was Bon Jovi songs, and there was, of course, Ori songs, and some other blues covers. There was a lot of jamming. Oh, my God, they love to jam.
I guess
we won't talk about that too much, because that's like, a subject that maybe
Ori doesn't want to. But I want to talk about the charts. I mean, the charts were just probably one bar with the jam chart. Like instead of like 13 bars, they're like 64.
Yeah. Well, even the Bon Jovi tunes, like those got jammed out a lot. Like I'll Be There For You, the outro, guitar solo till, way 5 minutes down the road. He liked to jam things out. It was his way of just doing whatever he wanted. And it was great. He was nothing but cool.
Well, I mean, you definitely have played with the spectrum of guitar players. You play with guys that are, ultra prepared, like myself, and then you've played with guys.
You are no,
I do pride myself in being prepared.
We do. We all pride ourselves on that. We are prepared dudes.
That's the one thing. It might be a curse, because we don't get paid days to rehearse, because we don't really have days to rehearse, to be honest with you, when a tour starts. So it could
That's the problem when you're too prepared. They expect you to show up, and the rehearsal gets smaller every time until it's a day or a sound check.
But this band, honestly, is prepared. That's why I think they have such confidence in us that we can do that. Even for this Wacken live performance, it basically came together. There it is. That's what's happening on Thursday. You're gonna go check out the whole Alice Cooper band. We're gonna play. It's not a full-on concert. It's just a few songs, but you know what? Definitely worth checking out. And that's why they hire us. I guess that's why we're the hired guns, because we are prepared, which and there's the front lineup, and there you are right there on the side, which is It's a good picture of you, though. You're centered right there. You can see that. But
That's okay.
which leads me to your, you're not just a musician, drummer, and personality. You're an actor. You've been in
Me?
Hired Gun.
Oh yeah.
What was that experience like?
Recited my lines really good in that movie. No, Hired Gun. It's still this documentary that people discover to this day, and they might contact me, or if I see people around, they'll say, "Oh, I just saw on like Amazon Prime. I just saw Hired Gun." I made a lot of good friends out of that, including the director, Franz Strine. A lot of cool stories from that guy, and it was the story of people doing what we do, backing up the big names. And there's some sad stories, and there's some inspiring stories, and everything in between in that movie. It's like it's good for people that want to do this thing, the music biz, but then again, it's like, is this discouraging? Because there's some like heavy stuff in there.
Well, I figure if you can survive this year with music and still at the end of the day be a musician at the end of this year, you'll be able to survive anything. And let's be honest, being Hired Guns, we've always been under financial crisis. We've always kind of been living gig to gig, and a lot of people don't understand that. There isn't a lot of, it's not like a union benefit thing, even though you could be part of the union, musicians union. It doesn't feel like you're part of this union. You're kind of on your own, right?
Yeah, you are. The musicians union does not cover as many gigs as people might think.
Right. No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, so check it out on Thursday with the Alice Cooper Band. We're going to be playing. And now it's time to move on to a segment we have, Let the People Speak. Because you know what? The people that are in our chat have been sort of putting in some great questions. They've been in a lot of great input, and we really appreciate you guys being part of the show, because you do make it what it is. And our first one does sort of rely on Vasco Rossi. You mentioned him earlier. It's from Federock, who actually helps us a lot with the show.
Nice.
But Federock was, her question is, how was the Italian experience with Vasco Rossi, as well as former Alice Cooper guitarist Steph Burns?
Yeah, that's great. This is like right before I got called about joining the Alice band. Vasco Rossi is the biggest rock star in Italy. I was saying before. I mean, hands down. It's all just stadiums and arenas with him. He's in his 60s. He speaks no English, and in 2010, September 2010, I got a phone call from a producer, an Italian producer that lives in LA, a guy named Saverio Principini. He's definitely Italian. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, you think? But yeah, I met this guy when I was doing a random cover gig at a sports bar in La Crescenta with Chuck Wright and Jason Hook. I met him in 2007. This producer walked in with another mixing engineer that mixed a record I did. And I met this guy, Saverio, and he called me to do a demo session at his studio, at his home studio back then. So I showed up, and he saw me chart out the demo he had in Pro Tools, and he saw that I read music, and I was able to, write out the kick snare patterns and deal with changes on the spot. 3 years later,
those notes have helped you all the time.
Totally. That's key. It keeps me working. I always say that. So 3 years later, after not keeping in touch with him too much, he calls me about this thing. He says, okay, there's this huge Italian gig, and Matt Log, the drummer, he has an injury. And I said,
a little history on Matt Log.
Matt Log. He's amazing.
Matt Log is one of the greatest rock drummers around. I played with him. We made Slash's Snake Pit Ain't Life Grand together.
He's on Alanis Morissette's first record.
He played on You Ought to Know, that track. He's played on, I think he actually played on the New Radicals album as well, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. But for the years that I played in Slash's Snake Pit, Matt was such a great go-to guy, and not just a drummer, but songwriter. Plays guitar, comes up with riffs. So he gets injured, he goes down. You're the next man up.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that Saverio said, biggest rock star in Italy, and Matt, I said, are you talking about Vasco Rossi? He went, yeah, you've heard of him, because Vasco's had all these American drummers. He's had Dean Castronova, he's had Kenny Aronoff, Jonathan Moffett from Michael Jackson's band. So I knew of this Italian guy that had all these American drummer dudes. And I didn't know how big he was. He's just like the biggest. It felt like there's a law in Italy that says if you live there, you have to know every word to his songs. That's what it felt like.
Don't the Rolling Stones actually like co-headline tours with him in Italy because or something like that?
They easily could. You know, Vasco did his like 40th anniversary show in Modena, Italy a couple years ago, and it was like a record-breaking audience of like 150,000 or something like that. And it was the biggest fireworks display I've ever seen because there's YouTube of it. But anyways, yeah, and I had to learn in 3 days. I had to learn almost 25 songs sung in Italian that I'd never heard before. So I was up for 2 days straight doing the charts. And that's when you know the pressure's on. They've called everyone else that's done the gig prior. That's what you do. You call the people that used to do the gig. If they're in good standing, see if they're available. No one was available. They called my mentor, Greg Bissonette, who had played on one of Vasco's records.
He also played with David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
He played with so many great bands as well.
Yeah, Joe Satriani. He plays in Ringo Starr's All-Star Band now. And they asked Greg, can you do this gig? And I think he said, I can. I got Ringo Starr dates. And Severio said, well, I'm thinking of calling Glen Sobel. You know him? And Greg said, yeah, call him. He's great for this. You're nowhere without allies in this business. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Greg I owe him too, big time. But yeah, and I charted this stuff out, and I knew that I was the Hail Mary, you know, the guy they were going to last on the list. And I wanted to come in that first day and kill it and make them feel at ease.
Prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. Over prepared. It's like, if you're just prepared, you're not prepared. You gotta be over prepared.
Like I say about being on time with Alice, it's like 5 minutes early is 5 minutes late. So, but maybe I'm the wrong person to ask about time with you. Maybe you're my wrong guest. I just thought.
Hey, we never go on late.
Let me move on then to a question.
We never go on late.
No, we never do. We never cancel a gig. That's important. At Joanna_Noel is your drumming heroes. Do you have a drumming hero?
Oh God,
I mean,
yeah.
You named a lot of allies,
so many.
But do you?
So many. I mean, look, it's so typical. It started because of Neil Peart and John Bonham, but fortunately, I discovered a lot of other people after that. I got heavy into, of course, a lot of other rock drummers, Alex Van Halen, but then I discovered the 70s, 80s jazz fusion guys and all the progressive guys, Phil Collins, Terry Bozzio. It's easier to say, like, you know, who isn't an influence? I'm just influenced by everyone. That's such a hard question. But yeah, there's been a lot of good, big influences that I've had the honor and fortune to have met and even befriend in my life. But it started because of Rush and Zeppelin.
Yep. It goes back to those major heroes of Neil Peart. And do you think part of the reason, because I don't know as much about your drum endorsements, I'm like more into the guitar endorsements and stuff, but I'm only assuming that drummers feel the same way. Do you usually play the same brand and cymbals and kit as your drum heroes played, or does it happen differently? Because now you are a DW endorsed drummer, and that's a killer looking kit that Vic just put up on the screen right now. That's the Hollywood Vampires kit. But you know, your earlier kits, was it because of the drum heroes that you had that you played the same kit?
Yeah, I'd say DW didn't exist back in the 80s as a drum company. They just made pedals back then. But yeah, I mean, I at least wanted to make my setup look like Neil Peart's, as far as, you know, a 6-inch tom all the way down to a 18-inch floor tom. It was a little bit mix and match, but you do what you can when you're a kid. You try to put it together. Was that the largest
kit that you've ever had? Can you remember the largest amount of drums that you've had as a kit?
Yeah, it was probably that. It was like 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 7 toms. You know, that's what everyone did back then.
Nice.
And single bass drum. But yeah, it was all about trying to copy Neil. But then I discovered Zeppelin. And I'm like, wow, he's doing all that on a 5-piece kit. That's crazy.
So then you got scaled down. Well, I've seen you play. I've seen you play shows, Goon Squad shows, basically on really, really run down, simple.
Those get fun.
Yeah, what they have. But didn't Glenn set a Guinness World Record for drumming? Did you?
Well, years ago, there was this thing. It was this device that it's still around. It's called a drumometer, and they used to have these competitions where you do a single stroke roll and you hold it for a minute, and they had
stroke roll right,
left, right, left, but like super fast. And so this machine counts how many strokes you play, and you could set it for 60 seconds. And I don't have an official world's record on it. At the time, it was like 1,071 strokes in a minute. I hit like 1,029. I'm in the 1,000+ club. But
is that, is that like the triple comma club? I don't know.
Yeah. Tres comas.
Comas. I don't know. But you're in the 1,000 single stroke
in a minute.
Dude, I got to get in the Guinness Book of World Records. Thank you, Brian Kozlowski.
It's just my right hand started hurting a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I'm done. But it was really fun to do it while it lasted. But it's a sport. There was ESPN2 for a while, and they covered it as an extreme sport, which was a trip. Yeah, it might be on YouTube, us doing that. But yeah, that was fun.
If it had anything to do with the speed in my right hand, I think I am up for world records in some place. Maybe I know what I mean. But let's move on a little bit to who the people are talking at. Mike Usnick, another amazing interview. That's not a question, but thank you very much, Mike. That's an actual statement.
Another amazing interview?
Another amazing interview. He's happy. The pink sock. Mike loves the show. He loves the podcast. We love all you guys for listening to In the Trenches. We're here with Glen Sobel. And if you're watching us and you're just joining in, there's so much to catch up on. But hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Another question we have from Beardy Longhair. How much input do you guys have on an Alice Cooper set?
Oh, we make the set every night. We take turns.
Well, I think honestly, when we're doing those rehearsals, though, there are a lot of suggestions that come in. Yeah. I say in the last hours. I mean, I got to be honest with you, and I'm not going to sit here and pat myself on the back, but I kind of am. But
pat away.
Yeah, Bed of Nails.
Was that you?
You know, that came in the last minute. That was talk about Hail Marys with Vasco. I just threw the Hail Mary, I think, the last room because we need just one more song, and then Bed of Nails ended. And then, to me, that's one of the.
No, it is. It's one of my favorites in the set.
One of the favorite songs to play. Yeah. So
and
every once in a while we get lucky.
That was one of those days in rehearsal where it was like pulling out your hair because it's like, all right, we're not going to do whatever that song. Scrap that. We're going to do Desperado. And so I went upstairs to my room and I started making the cheat sheet on Desperado. And I'm almost done. And I get the text message, we're not doing Desperado. Now it's Bed of Nails. So you start learning. And hurry up, we got to get downstairs and rehearse. I'm learning Bed of Nails. You just told me 5 minutes ago.
Because we only have 48 hours to rehearse.
Yeah, and I hadn't eaten dinner and I was grumpy. But no, I'm glad we did that song. It's great. Glen
does need his food, by the way, and he did eat before this interview. Yeah, he did eat before because he's in his kitchen right now, so he better have eaten already. One last question from the people. It's at Thomas Z. Bizlanik. Do you use SPDSX for effects only during the AC show, or it has some backing tracks there too? And I don't know what that means.
Well, yeah, he's talking about Roland SPD pads. He's talking about. I've got a Roland multi-pad set up next to me, and then Mike Miller has one down by him as well to trigger some extra sounds. So yeah, I'm using some of the SPD pads, but I've got the one multi-pad deal.
But we don't use backing tracks in the traditional sense that bands use backing tracks, because that's the thing that is
everybody's singing. You guys are singing for real.
There's like 5 or 6 singers. I mean, Cheryl is off stage, but Cheryl's in the show, so it counts. She's Cheryl is Alice's wife, Cheryl Cooper. She sings like an angel in right off stage when she's not actually cutting.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that.
When she's not cutting off Alice's head or she's being like psycho nurse. Franzi, Bed of Nails came from you. My eternal thanks will haunt you. Well, you're haunting me now, Franzi. Thank you very much. I'm wondering which one of the is a tougher set to play, an Alice Cooper set or a Hollywood Vampires set. So with that question, let's move on to your sort of transition, because you said before it's all about having these allies, and you've definitely had an ally in Tommy Hendrickson because he brought you in, and that was one of the points I was going to make early. He sort of brought you into the Alice Cooper fold, right?
He did. Yeah. 10 years ago in 2010, there was I didn't even know it was called Alice Does Alice. Did you see that recently?
No. What is that?
Well, it's when. Well, it was the remakes, the note for note remakes we did in
the ones that they
2010.
used. Was it the ones that they used for Guitar Hero and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was for that and any other uses. You know, this is the thing a lot of people don't know. There's artists that re-record their own hits years later, and they do it note for note, and they try to copy it exactly. Because if a movie, TV show, video game wants those songs, a certain song, well, they got to like deal with an old label that's maybe not even in existence anymore, and you got to deal with rights holders and licensing fees. And now there's a loophole. The artist can re-record their own song, you know. And in this case,
for the artist, so I'm actually supporting it for a change, because every fucking loophole for a musician is usually screwing the musician.
Yeah,
so
right. So this is them getting back at the label. Exactly. And so. Yeah, and Bob Ezrin was brought in, the original producer, and Tommy was working with Bob Ezrin in Nashville. Tommy was tasked with bringing in the musicians, and he brought in me and Reb Beach and Greg Smith, and we redid like School's Out and No More Mr. Nice Guy, Elected, a bunch of songs, and I had to make note for note transcriptions. It wasn't cheat sheets. It was every note, and Elected is busy. That's a lot of notes. Right. And I had to mimic Neil Smith's style and Whitey Glenn for Welcome to My Nightmare. Totally different vibe with his playing. And that's what started the whole thing. And a year later, when Bob was going to produce the show, a year before you came back in the fold.
Was it before I came back? And I think that was called the Alice Welcome to My Nightmare, right? With the album and stuff right around then.
Well, the name of the tour?
Wasn't it about that, or no? It was again No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Yes, it was the No More Mr. Nice Guy tour. Yeah, Bob was going to produce the show. He wanted to make some lineup changes, and Tommy suggested me and Alice, and then we're in the studio mixing that record that came out in 2011, which I'm blanking on the name of.
I believe that's Welcome to My Nightmare.
Yes. Oh yeah, 2. Right, the number 2. I forgot. Yeah, so they were working on that, mixing it, and I guess Alice heard that I was suggested, but I'd never met him. You know, I did that session, but you don't meet the artists you record for a lot. You're just a session guy with the producer. And so I guess Tommy pulled up some YouTube because Alice said, well, he gets the vibe of the music, but I got to see him. My drummer's got to be flashy or something like that. And Tommy pulled up some YouTube of something. And Tommy said, I'm not insane. I'm not an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. I'm cool. And he called me at home, and I was asleep, of course, 2 hours earlier in LA. And Tommy's like, yo, I'm sitting here with Mr. Cooper, and we're looking at you on YouTube, and you want to do this gig? And I was half asleep. I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it.
I got to do a podcast first.
Yeah. I said, yeah, man, let's do it. And he goes, all right, you're in. Click. And that was it. And wow. I met Alice on the first day of rehearsal, which is
That's
weird.
Nice. And then we've gone on to make many a tour together. And then again, Tommy shines down. Well, that was, I think, just on the last tour that we had, somewhere in New York. There it is.
Yeah.
And I think after, again, Tommy shines his light on you and brought you into the vampires as well, the Hollywood vampires.
He did, yeah. It's about having a backing band that is going to hold everything together. We know this, doing what we do, that we got to be those reliable people. So the front man can have this like cushion of like, security to do their thing. So it's that above all that I think he knows that I'm going to help provide. I mean, the drums are the foundation, people say. So you got to provide this framework. And with the vampires, things get loose. It's cool that they do. There's open-ended sections, and sometimes someone will come in late, early. It's kind of great that happens because the Alice gig is so structured, which is great on its own. And that where we're like a Broadway show with timing and props. Vampires is it's like a bar band, the world's most expensive bar band, Alice calls it. And Joe Perry is going to do what he's going to do with solo sections, and you don't have to worry about it being exactly the same number of bars for certain solos, or intros can be weird. You got to fly by the seat of your pants and listen and pay attention. And there might be many little train wrecks on stage that most people don't notice, but we do, and we got to like react in real time. Right. So yeah, he really said, I'm the guy to do that. And then I had to do like these late night, all night demo recording sessions for the record at Johnny's house, which was
that's the thing,
hilarious.
Because I feel that the Alice band is such a structured thing, because like you say, we have to be at a certain time, we have to be at a certain place at a certain time during the set every single night, because
you guys have blocking cues.
Exactly. And because you know that Alice is going to be swinging his sword at this certain line every time, because once he gets that into his sort of backbone, into his sort of repertoire, he's got it, and he's on point every single night. Whereas with the Vampires, it's much more, hey, it's kind of like Johnny Depp's personality, kind of like, hey man, give you a big hug and everything's cool, and Joe Perry's got his shirt down looking like cool as fuck, and then but then the album has that vibe too. And that's what I thought Tommy did such a great job of producing the album, and this album. You're drumming towards that. You were talking about it. I heard sometimes you had to come in at like 2 a.m. or, you had to come into the studio on their schedule.
The funny thing is, the first night, Tommy wanted to lock me in for the record. I mean, Johnny, Joe, they knew I was sounding how I sounded on the Alice gig, but they wanted to know that I would fit that vibe and take direction from all three of them. And so Tommy said, okay, you got to come to Johnny's on Wednesday night, and you got to do this demo session so they know you're the guy for this record. And it was NAMM week, the music industry trade show NAMM, for those that don't know. I said, I can't. I got a gig Wednesday night. I was playing with Richie and Ori in Anaheim and a few other artists. I was in the house band backing up a bunch of people, including Richie and Ori. I told Tommy, I can't. I got a gig. He said, it doesn't matter. Come after. I said, dude, my gig's in Anaheim. He said, doesn't matter. Come after. I said, if I come after my gig, I won't get there till 1:30 in the morning. He said, perfect. They're just getting going at that time. And
that's when they're waking up.
Yeah. They're literally vampires, Johnny and Joe. So I show up 1:30, 1:45, whatever, and did this demo for the song that became Get From Round on the record. And I don't know what I did. By the time I was getting ready to track, after I made the cheat sheets of the demo, the structure, Johnny said, like, brother, play something impossible. I was like, no problem. It's really late. And whatever I played at 3 a.m, it was one of those things where they got demo-itis, where they got so into what the demo was.
Yeah,
they wanted me
the same thing.
They wanted me to copy on the record what I did at 3 a.m, and I had to write out what I'm like. I played that. Oh my God, I got to copy that.
But you said it was impossible. So how can I how can I redo it again if it was impossible?
Yeah, I had to do it again, and the impossible repeats. It's just funny how that stuff happened. And there was a handful of nights of those kind of sessions where it was just late. It is what it is.
Funky Almadena wants to know if you do a funny Tommy impersonation. Well, yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah, I've known 30 years.
You still ride on the bus. Like the Alice band has 2 buses now. Trust me, the first few years that we were all together, we were all riding on the same bus. But
isn't that crazy?
Well, thanks to the Vampires, because I think on the first Vampires.
No, that's not why. That's not why we split.
Really?
No, it's because when Alice did the Rock Meets Classic tour in Germany in 2012,
that single
that's
bus.
What it was.
Yeah. So Chuck and I sort of tagged along with Alice on that because we're his golf buddies, but it does make things nice in the sense that 2 different buses. We don't see each other, so much during the day. Sometimes we'll go out, nights off, we'll go out to eat and stuff, but then we'll get to the gig, and we are one of those rare bands, I think, that does hang. Wouldn't you say? Because we do hang out a lot. We eat at catering together a lot. We hang out before, after. We're in the dressing room. It's just hours and hours.
How many people do we know on other gigs that we won't name that hate some people in their camp?
Yeah, that was last year. That was
this year.
That was this year. Oh
that
my God!
That was in Christchurch, New Zealand.
That was actually the last gig of 2020 for the Alice Cooper Band
Yeah.
so far, until this Thursday when we play the
It's true.
Wacken Live Festival, which you
You
guys
know,
should all check out. We
when you-
debuted it here, and I think it's no it's no secret. It's definitely out there. It's just this Thursday we're going to be rocking it.
Man,
So
you know how to sell it, man. It's the first Alice gig since the last gig in February. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Look but then we had this amazing run out in Australia and New Zealand, and thank God for
Remember what we did? Remember what we did in the span of 48 hours? We did what? We did an arena.
We were part of the Sack Pack. We're the Sack Pack.
Right. We did a stadium, an arena, and a club in 48 hours time. The Sack Pack. Right?
Every single day, folks, every single time that I do.
I forgot about the Sack. Not Mike Fasano.
And you know what? Mike Fasano's watching right now in the chat right now. Yeah. So
your old
hello,
dad's
Mike.
Porno Mag drummer. It all goes back to 77.
But every time that I do this, every time I do the podcast, I'm usually the only SAC member, hanging out doing it. But now I'm joined with fellow SAC member Glen Sobel, because to be in the SAC Pack, you have to have played a stadium, arena, and club within a 24-hour span. And I think there's very few people that have done that.
Did we do it in 24? I think we did. Yeah, because there were two in one night, the arena and the club, and then the stadium. That's right. Oh my God!
And we went on earlier in the stadium, so within 24 hours.
Right.
Those are the official regulations for being in the SAC Pack.
That was amazing that we did that. And then we're like on Tuesday or whatever it was, we're like, I'm tired. And it's like, well, look at what we just did.
Yeah. And
I think
we played Melbourne before, so this is really a treat for all the people in the chat that are staying up late to watch us from Australia and New Zealand. Thank you guys very much. But we've been hanging out with Glen Sobel from the Alice Cooper Band, from the Hollywood Vampires, but you know him as the Sobelizer. Now who again, the Sobelizer. Now, you have your own drumsticks. Can we sell them right now?
I did have a signature stick called Sobelizer, but I left Regal Tip drumsticks after 27 years of endorsing them.
Shit, so now they're classics.
That's true. They're like a collector's item, I guess.
Okay. Any plans in the future to have any sort of, because this is where I want to get into a little bit and where I might be a little bit non-educated on, is the gear geeks and equipment freaks with the drum stuff that you do and the drum endorsements that you have. We know that you have a DW endorsement, but is there any sort of other endorsements that you want to drop and give some love to right now?
You got it, right? You got to do that. These companies have been just great. They give us free gear. They know we're touring the world and people are going to see us playing it. That's what it's about. Yep. And you don't want to endorse something that you're not into, that you don't love. But yeah, it's Vader drumsticks now. They've been amazing. It's Sabian cymbals for a long time, and it's Gibraltar Hardware, the big rack. They've been amazing. And Evans drumheads, long time. And I know I'm leaving somebody. Well, Humsenberg cases, I got to mention them. You don't play a case, but maybe we can change that.
No, it's good. Vic, you want to put a picture of that up? He doesn't have it? Okay, no problem.
I should have given him one. I didn't even think of this. But yeah, thanks for...
No, you know what? I always want to shine love onto the people that help us out, because you understand that, we do play these, we do our part, we play the instruments, but the instruments help us, the tools, and why not play the best tools that you can, right?
Yeah, you got to be happy with it. You got to be.
Glen, did you come up with the name the Goon Squad? No,
Nope.
I believe that was a Tommy Hendrickson.
I thought it was you.
No, I didn't do it that way. I will give Tommy. I came up with Glen Sobel and the Goon Squad, I believe. I think
the one guy that doesn't sing. Yeah.
Yes, because anyone has seen a Goon Squad show, and whether it was Glen Sobel and the Goon Squad, formerly known as, or just the Goon Squad now, maybe we'll be a symbol next year. I'm not sure, but Tommy sings, I sing, Chuck sings, Glen plays drums.
But don't forget Angry Anderson.
Oh my God, that was part of the Sack Pack gig. We had Angry Anderson from what was the band? The
Rose Tattoo.
Yeah,
I mean, how cool was that though? That guy's a lifer, man. That guy. We did Rock and Roll Outlaw with him.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Rose Tattoo, Guns N' Roses covered them. Nice Boys
Might
Don't
not have
Play Rock
existed.
and Roll.
Nice, yeah, they might. Guns N' Roses might not have had the same vibe if it wasn't for Rose Tattoo
Yeah.
and Hanoi Rocks. Obviously, I always
Yeah.
give Mike Monroe credit when he can.
And
Cass-
your good buddy, what's the guitar player from Hanoi
McCoy
Rock?
Andy.
Andy McCoy. Yeah.
No, it's McCoy Andy. That's what it is. I'm sure of it.
It's Roxy Ryan.
Shit, man. We've met a lot of characters over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Michael
I mean,
Monroe is cool.
yeah, no doubt about
What
it.
a guy.
Yeah. And
Loves
so-
Alice.
Yep. Just some Goon Squad shows are great. Thank you very much for all the love. I appreciate you guys. There it is. Mike Fasano in the chat saying DPM and POL never forget.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We had the initials. Yeah.
And I can see Mike Fasano with his profile pic prominently displaying the Gretsch drum
See,
label. I love it.
Mike Fasano knows about the drum hang. When we get together, drummers, we're just like hours of gear talk and, girlfriends beware and wives beware. We're going to not that there's not female drummers there. Sorry. I'm being very politically incorrect and non-inclusive, but you get what I'm saying.
Of course.
Mike knows.
Yeah.
I love Mike.
Do you does Burbank get included with the Deep 818 sort of crew? Because you are Deep 818. You're more like the Oaks and Glen Oaks and
yeah. I don't know if that's 818 anymore, area code. But yeah, the thing that we've done is called the 818 Drummers Lunch. And yeah, there's drummers from all over that come around. We do it when the NAMM show happens because people are in town for the music trade show.
Yeah.
And imagine you're just at the random restaurant on a Tuesday afternoon at Stonefire, and all of a sudden all these guys, mostly guys, and some girls are coming in just dressed in black on a Tuesday at noon and filling up this patio and making noise and banging on things, and it's like it scares the civilians, man.
Wow. You know what? Guitar players would have a guitar player's lunch, but we could never decide on what restaurant to eat. There's probably too many people with eating, like sort of menus and stuff. Oh yeah, I'm vegan this week,
This week.
So anyway, Mr. Glen Sobel, we are going to meet each other again on Thursday at the Wacken live stream. Vic, you got that link to put up now for everybody because we've been asking for people to check it out. Just go do a search on the Wacken Worldwide and you will find out that link. It's coming up pretty soon. We have been hanging out with Mr. Glen Sobel, drummer extraordinaire. He has some contact information if you guys want to get in touch with him for drum lessons or for some Sobelizer sticks that might be lying around, or just hanging out with him and checking him out on Instagram. Are those the correct ones?
Let's see. It looks good. Yeah. Well, at Glen_Sobel. That's Twitter. That's Instagram. And and the website's there, and the Facebook is Drummer Glen. But you could find it just as easy. Type in my name. It's that easy.
It's that easy
these days.
Well, you know what? I want to thank Kitty Oates for being a very cool script supervisor. She provided a lot of these questions.
Kitty.
Came on, and apparently all of you guys being in the chat, you've contributed the whole entire show, and thank you for any sort of donations that you've made the whole time. I've noticed them coming up. I'm sorry I haven't been shouting them out, but I will shout you out after the show. We're going to sort of shut things down right now for another week, but just so you know, next week I think I can actually sort of advertise that we just found out who our guest will be for next week. That'll be the almighty Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick.
Really? Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
one of your dudes, man.
That's one of my dudes. So as much as cool, calm, and collective as I am with you, because I feel comfortable, me and you have been
That's
years,
awesome.
I'm going to be
Rick
a fan.
is cool.
Yeah, I'm honest. I'm going to be total fanboy next week, but I'm going to try and be composed. Imagine that you meet your favorite drummer. Did you ever get to meet Neil Peart?
That's one guy I didn't. And it's okay because everyone says, look, if you meet Neil, he doesn't want to talk any drums and he checks out. Think about Limelight. I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. That's Neil talking about meeting fans. He's not into it.
Yeah, you're right. I was.
But Rick is cool.
Trees. Yeah. Rick is awesome.
Remember that time in the dressing room, he dropped in and we were playing a little bit of California Man and just messing around?
Got it on tape. Yeah. It's
Oh, is it on
amazing.
tape? I didn't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and fish it out somewhere. So yeah, I will be fanboying out. But you know what?
And people don't know his son's the drummer in Cheap Trick, Dax Nielsen.
Yeah, and Dax is a really great guy too. He comes
great
on the
drummer, great guy.
Got to get him on the show. You know what? I'm going to get more drummers on. Glen Sobel, you have inspired me to get more drummers on, and before you start your own podcast, because I know it's only a matter of time.
Oh boy, that's just what we need. Another one of these, right? No, you're doing a great job with this, and you built it up, man. How'd you do that?
I'm in New York, and you're in your kitchen.
It's like that Wayne's World sketch. Hey, I'm in New York. Let's go to a Broadway show. And then it's going to change your background.
For those of you that don't know, Glenn knows really good movie quotes from about every single movie.
I'm a movie guy.
Yeah.
Totally.
And here's my sort of name drop of the week, and I'll let you go with this, is that David Spade and I had a little DMing back and forth because I gave him some props on Weird Science and Kelly LeBrock. And I said, Kelly LeBrock, what a classic.
Wait, David Spade?
The David Spade, yeah.
Is he in that movie?
No, he would just put up a little post about he was watching it from quarantine. He's quite funny on Instagram. I go and check him out and stuff.
I've seen some of his I don't know. I guess he's been doing some live chats and things. Oh, I love David Spade.
He does a daily in the bunker thing. He's a funny mofo. I think he's great. But hey man, I've had you and Glen Sobel. You've been a great guest. Thank you for coming on In the Trenches. For all of you that have been listening and not watching, make your way on over to YouTube and please subscribe to the official YouTube channel. Again, Glen Sobel will put up your contact information one more time so people can check that out. It's the @Glen_Sobel for Instagram. Check it out. Any last things you want to promote, hype up, or are we just out of here? What up?
What is there to promote these days? No, I'm just glad that. Oh, nice.
On the cover of Batter magazine.
It's Batua, I think, France. They're very nice there. They're very good people. No, just thanks for hanging in my kitchen.
Yeah, it's been another.
Yeah,
we'll have to do it again.
My kitchen.
Thank you for waking up early, Glenn, on the West Coast. I know you're not an early riser. You've been great. Vic Chalfant, you've been stupendous as always.
Thanks, Vic. Vic is on it. He's on it.
Is.
You're abusive to him.
On screen. Yeah, but if he comes on screen, it's going to just be echo, echo, echo. Everybody that's in the chat room, thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to be speaking to each other throughout the week. You're going to see me fanboy out for Rick Nielsen next week. But a lot of things until next time. But until we meet again on In the Trenches, I'm Ryan Roxie. This has been Glen Sobel. Enjoy the ride.
Trenches with Ryan Roxie.